Yeah, no, I think it's a great series for a multitude of reasons. One, obviously, geographically, it makes a ton of sense. Makes great sense from a recruiting standpoint. Strength of schedule. Um, you know, Playing a Big 12 team in a neutral site is great. And again, I just think from a travel standpoint, it's good for our student athletes because it's so close to Tulsa. And it's also great for our fan base as well.
Bob, you want to get us started?
Sure. Eric, I know you worked for Lon Kruger at Atlanta. Did you guys have a prior relationship, or what's the backstory on you going to work with him in Atlanta, and how was that for you?
I mean, I didn't really know him before working, with him with the Hawks, and now he's actually become close with my wife Danielle because of the Coaches versus Cancer stuff and her involvement in that, and his involvement in that. But at the Nike retreat stuff that the coaches have, he and his wife, I've known him for so long. And actually, when Kevin, his son, was in high school, we used to play one-on-one even before and after practices. So great family, and he had called about this thing early on, and then Hunter got involved with the Oklahoma AD and so on and so forth. But the idea, was originated really with Coach Kruger.
And then as far as him hiring you in Atlanta, how did that work? Did he reach out to you, or did you reach out to him, or how'd that work?
Yeah, no, he had reached out. I was in Orlando on Doc Rivers' staff, and I had known the GM. Pete Babcock had been with the San Diego Clippers, and Pete's brother had coached me at San Diego, so there was a connection with their GM, and I think that maybe Pete Babcock had given my name to Lon, and then Lon had a pool of people that he was going to call and talk to, and I happened to be one of them, and it was a great move for me. I was behind the bench in Orlando, and that got me on the bench. So it was a great, time with him, and obviously that led to the Golden State head job, and his recommendation with Golden State carried a ton of weight.
How would you describe your relationship now, and how do you feel about playing somebody you've worked with and have a relationship with?
I mean, that's kind of why I just wanted Hunter to get involved in it, because I wasn't, at first, because we're friends, and I didn't really know how to feel about it. But the more we looked at, their net rankings over the last 10 years, and knowing the type of teams that he has, I mean, they're hard to beat because they're well coached and they have talent. So, but it's a great game for us. And you look at last year's strength of schedule, I think it was 12th in the country, our non-conference schedule. So, certainly this is a huge game for us and for Oklahoma as well.
In Arkansas, I know you've played a lot of home and home. Why did you guys decide to make this a neutral site game instead of a home and home?
Yeah, I just think geographically for both, for them and for us, it makes a lot of sense. And it really never really got to a home and home. I think that this was kind of a, because we are friends, I think this probably made a little bit more sense.
Okay, I got a few more, but I'll give it back to Kyle and rotate around a little bit.
Thanks, Bob. Nathan Thompson.
Well, I guess first of all, obviously Tulsa is in Oklahoma. You're playing OU, but with the proximity, how do you expect the home court advantage to play out for you guys? I
mean, I don't really know. I would think that our fans will, I think the thought process with our administration and with our coaching staff and stuff, we would hope to have a great, turnout there. Obviously, Oklahoma will have a tremendous turnout. But I think it's really good for both programs. I really do. And I know that our fans travel really well, and that should be a natural, place. Tulsa should be easy for our fans to get to.
How much experience do you have with Tulsa and BOK Center specifically?
Not much. My experience in Tulsa was in the old CBA, so there wasn't a lot of fans then. I can tell you that.
Do you think this would have happened? This series would have happened if it wasn't for your relationship with Coach Kruger and, of course, Coach Crutchfield also with his relationship?
Yeah, I mean, really, Coach Crutch didn't. He didn't really. I mean, he found out about it yesterday. Actually, he was in the office and we were talking about having this. That was the first time Crutch had found out about it. So, no, I think it was Coach Kruger's idea. Again, when we studied, where Oklahoma, is as far as, strength of schedule standpoint, we thought that it was a great game for us. And then Hunter was really excited about it as well. I think from an administration standpoint, they thought it really made a lot of sense. And I know both administrations, went to Tulsa and had a meeting there, and that's kind of how it came about.
And then my last question, there are a lot of Arkansas graduates who live in Tulsa. Is there any part of this series that's kind of an outreach to a fan base here?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that I'm sure there'll be, some alumni function and so forth that'll take place either the day of the game or the day before the game. I'm sure that'll be in the works. And, again, I think anytime that you can be in an area that you kind of recruit and you want to have your footprint in, this makes a ton of sense for both, Oklahoma and for us.
All right. I appreciate it. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thanks, Nathan.
Kevin?
Yeah, you had the 3 non-conference road games last season. You inherited that, but you commented about the fan turnout in North Little Rock and the proximity to Tulsa, maybe playing twice there. Are you looking to schedule more of these kind of regional games, not only to help recruiting, but give you a chance to get a quad 1 or 2 win close to home where it's like a home environment?
Yeah, I think, Kevin, if you kind of go back and look at our, the way that we had scheduled it in Nevada, we had a lot of games in the Bay Area for the same reason. We'd like to do some games that are close here. Number one, it helps your student athletes from a travel standpoint. It helps your student athletes as far as, we're going to have a lot of parents be able to go to this particular game. And then I think there is some really positives that can come out of a neutral site environment as far as preparation for SEC tournament play, for potential playing an NCAA tournament. That was our thinking on neutral site games in the past. And the Las Vegas games are going to give us some neutral site against some really good competition, and so will this. So, I think it's just going to benefit our guys to be in those type of environments.
Kevin may have froze on us.
Kevin, you frozen?
I can hear you guys, but my screen went blank.
You have
You
any
hear
more
me?
questions? Yeah.
No, that's good. I'm trying to get back into the meeting here.
Okay. Scotty?
Yeah, Coach, I was just curious kind of what Coach Crutchfield's reaction was to this series when you guys were talking about it yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously, he's got tremendous respect for Coach Kruger, as I do. But I think he thought it was a great game as well. I mean, Coach Ruda played, he plays a huge part in our scheduling, and he has for the last, 6 years, and he puts a lot of time and studies, He studies it. I think he's as good as any scheduled guy in the entire country. I was more concerned with, quite frankly, what Coach Ruda thought of the game based on his research and time that he spends in trying to put forth the best non-conference schedule to give us a chance for postseason play.
I'm good, Kyle.
Tom?
Eric, a little bit off topic here, but I've been asking some of the other coaches on campus. We don't know when the coronavirus is going to allow return to normalcy. Are you planning, do you have in the back of your mind like a budget plan B in case things don't start rolling on as scheduled?
No, I mean, I'm optimistic that, that we're going to be playing soon. I don't have anything other than just being optimistic and I'm hopeful to be watching Coach Pittman's team play. Excited about that. Again, I don't have any medical, reason to say that other than just from an optimistic standpoint, getting back to normalcy as quickly as we can, but also as safely as we can with the student athletes. So any budget stuff, I mean, that's internal stuff that we're dealing with Hunter or Clayton with. So I don't think there's any reason for me to publicly make any statement about that at all, really, Tom.
Well, I wasn't asking for like a public statement, but just in the back of your mind, if you're having to think of ways in case it does happen, to implement things other than what you have going right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we always, I think, in all, whatever line of work you're in, whether it's your newspaper business or our basketball or the NBA front offices, or, I think we're all budget conscious right now. And yes, we have done some things already, whether it's with scouting services or whatever, to try to be as fiscal responsible as we possibly can. So there's no doubt that it doesn't matter what's going to happen going forward. We've already made, decisions that make the most sense from a budgetary standpoint. And obviously whatever happens going forward, there'll be more thought put into it. But yes, we have as a staff, because Anthony Root is our ops guy, we have, turned in some areas that we feel we can make, fiscal responsibility decisions and cut some things if we need to, which we've already done that.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was aiming for. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom.
I'm good, Kyle.
Hutch?
Yeah, Coach, I think you already kind of somewhat touched on this, but when you're making your schedule, do you have a preference between home and homes or neutral site? Do you like a mix of them each year? What's kind of your general philosophy when it comes to that?
I think that the number one philosophy is how do we get the very best non-conference schedule that we can. If you look at, again, if you just go back the last 4 years, where our non-conference schedule, we've done a pretty good job of trying to schedule within the best of our ability to stay within budget stuff. And obviously when you're in a mid-major, budget, comes into play for sure when you try to put together a schedule. But I think a mix of things, you want to try to get some neutral site games. You want to try to play in some tough environments to get yourself ready for true road games. And look, I mean, we would expect that this game in Tulsa would have an incredibly great crowd for both teams. Like, it's going to be an environment that should be very, very fun to play in for the players. And then you go play some road games that are hard as well, that are true road games, and you try to play as good a team as you possibly can in the neutral site game. And I think that there's a potential for that in Las Vegas.
All right, that's all I got for you, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Hutch. Bobby?
Tulsa historically has been pretty rich talent-wise. How much stock do you put into, the help of recruiting by playing in a given town like a Tulsa or a Las Vegas or anything like that?
No, I do think it's important, for sure. I mean, I think that, our game in Little Rock, I've only been a part of one of them. And I think that game last year helped us a lot in recruiting. I really do. And certainly, we got 2 games in Tulsa next year, and so obviously it's important for us as a program. We would feel if we're playing 2 games there out of your 30 that there is importance to it for sure.
Thanks. That's what I got.
Thanks, Bobby.
Trey, do you have anything?
I'm good, Kyle. Thank you.
Tara?
Hey, Coach. Just first time we've talked to you since Mason Jones' decision, I guess, sort of cementing, him not coming back. Just your thoughts on that, and then any update on Isaiah Joe?
Yeah, no update on Isaiah. I mean, he's going through the process, and as far as Mason goes, like I've kind of said all along, we support him. He had an incredible year. It's really hard to do the things that he did, lead the nation in free throws attempted, lead the nation in free throws made. Mason had a Skype or whatever you want to call it, a virtual interview yesterday with the team. Jimmy Witt had one early this morning already. So, with our Isaiah's got interviews lined up. So I think with our guys, I mean, you want to support them, and been on the phone a lot about Mason with NBA guys. And, now that there, that we know that he's in that draft, we just hope that, that he positions himself to in front of the NBA teams to put himself in the best position to potentially be a draft pick and to live out his lifetime goals.
How tough is it for Isaiah right now, considering how abnormal these times are, to try to get a real grasp as far as feedback?
Well, you're not going to get a real, not just Isaiah. I mean, nobody's going to get a real feel because, right now there's no Chicago pre-draft. There was no PIT or Portsmouth Invitational. What are you going to do? Read the internet and try to gather as many mock drafts as you can. And, like this stuff is, these virtual things. I mean, this is great. It's great to see you guys, but it's a lot different when you're at a press conference with you guys than doing this. And so I don't know how the virtual interviews are going to go with NBA teams. I certainly know the impact that Chicago pre-draft has, and I certainly know from sitting in NBA draft rooms the impact that individual workouts play. I certainly know the impact of when you're with that particular team's medical people and you're doing your physical tests as well as the medical tests, and it's done in person. It'll be interesting how the draft will come out because, the NBA draft's different than the NFL draft. The NFL draft had done a lot of their medical stuff at their pre-draft combine. So I can't, I can't really say how you would make a decision in this because it's all new to all of us.
Thanks, Coach.
Ty, do you have any?
Yeah, I got one. Coach, kind of going off Bobby's question, you think about traditionally the SEC is known for its football, but you got a ton of in-state talent high school-wise, and then Bobby's talking about Tulsa. Were you surprised when you got here how much basketball talent there was in the South, and particularly near this area?
No, not really. I mean, we had quite a few players at Nevada from Texas. And if you look at if you take our student athletes on this campus and you geographically put a map, because I did that last week, there's so many student athletes on our campus from like Texas and the second most are from the state of Arkansas, at least when you look at all encompassing all the student athletes on our campus. So not surprised at all if you're a basketball historian and you know the Ron Brewers and Marvin Delps and where those guys are from, and so not surprised at all. I think that's a lot of the attraction from this job. Is I can specifically speak for basketball that this is a great job because of the fan base, because of the in-state talent, so on and so forth. So I wasn't really surprised, Ty. I mean, I think that that there are a lot of talent in the surrounding areas and in the South for sure.
I guess the only other one I've had is like, what would you say the difference is from high school coaches? And I know they're not as plentiful when you're in Nevada, but what would be the biggest difference between Arkansas high school basketball coaches and then just basketball coaches when you're at Nevada?
I mean, I think there's great coaches at all levels, and I mean, where we were in Nevada, I mean, it was Reno, and there's some great high school coaches in Reno, but there might not be great talent. And there wasn't, high school talent in Reno. And I don't really look at that as a state thing, just like it's not necessarily just the state thing here. I mean, we can get to, Dallas in 5.5 hours or whatever. And you can get to Oklahoma very easily, just like at Nevada. I mean, we were recruiting guys out of the Bay Area, Sacramento, Oakland, San Francisco, because that's easier to get to than even Las Vegas. So I think there's great high school coaches all over. Certainly the coaches that have come into our gym to watch practice that are high school coaches, I've been overly impressed with them taking notes, the questions they ask after practice. And I've written letters during this time to a lot of the high school coaches, just personal letters, guys that have received coaching awards throughout the state. I think there's great coaches here, without a question of the doubt. I mean, and I'm just still trying to get to know as many of them as I possibly can.
Bob, did you have a few more?
Yeah. Eric, I apologize for not knowing this better, but you said at Orlando you were behind the bench. Atlanta gave you a chance to get on the bench. What was the difference in your responsibilities at each of those places? And I guess Atlanta was a good promotion.
Yeah, I mean, in Atlanta, I had game prep stuff, obviously individual development stuff. In Orlando, I had especially my first year, I had a really unique responsibility with Chuck Daly. I was a little bit of the conduit between the general manager, John Gabriel, and Chuck Daly. So I had a lot of personnel responsibilities. For instance, if we were calling up a player from the minor leagues, I basically kind of dealt with the GM because Coach Daly didn't want to deal with it and didn't know any of the minor league players. And then I did a lot of the individual player development stuff in Orlando, as far as working players out pre-practice, post-practice, off-season. So I would say in Atlanta, obviously a more elevated role dealing with game preps and more scheme X and O things than maybe in Orlando.
I'm trying to remember, as a head coach of Golden State, did you face Lon Kruger as a head coach of Atlanta? Did you guys face each other?
I'm not even sure. That's a good question. You got to look that up.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Okay. Well, and what'd you learn from him? He seems like a pretty, relaxed. I don't want to say relaxed. He's a calm guy. Doesn't seem like a yelling or screamer. Just what was it like working for him? Did you learn something in particular that you're able to add to your coaching, resume?
I mean, I learned so much from him, but X and O's. He's phenomenal. He's a great people person. The way that he dealt with practice. He's a great practice coach. He's a great preparation coach. I learned a ton from him. Just little things, even. We went to the Dominican Republic with a bunch of sponsors, and I remember sitting behind him on the plane, and he was memorizing everyone's name, all the sponsors' names, and what company they were with. He knew their wives' names. He's just a guy that prepares incredible. And I thought he was the best guy that I've ever worked for. I had a young family at the time, and he was incredible of telling you to leave the office and make sure you were home. That one year in particular, I was at my son's bus stop every day that he got home when we weren't on the road at 3:00 to see him when he got off the bus. And Lon's the first coach I've ever been around that put family ahead of everything else.
Was that Michael or Matthew?
It was Michael. Yeah.
Michael. Okay. And then as far as your schedule, how close are you guys to finalizing the non-conference games, and how I guess the other game in Tulsa is the return game with University of Tulsa, I assume.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. How do you feel about how your schedule is shaping up, and are there other games you could share with us?
No, I'm going to leave that up to Mike whenever he's going to share it with you guys. But we feel like it's shaping up really good, Bob. I like the geography of where we're playing. I thought last year's schedule and a lot of the games, Coach Anderson had already set up, and I thought that schedule, what we inherited, and then what we were able to add, again, to have the 12th toughest schedule and to be able to have the record we had non-conference, because you want to try to win the games as well. But we feel good about it. We still got some work to do on it. And Anthony Ruta's making calls daily to try to figure out, how we'll complete the non-conference schedule.
And when you hired Chris from Oklahoma, was that awkward at all, or how did that go between you and Lon? Was he kind of like, "Hey man, you're taking my guy," or what was the dynamics there?
No, it was. I mean, just because if you know Coach Kruger, everything is always, 100% honest. And I called him and asked if it was okay if I talked to Crutch. That was kind of the protocol. And then I kind of updated him on our conversations, and saw him very quickly after the hire was made at a tournament, and we sat together and watched a game for an hour and a half. We were both recruiting the same guy. And Coach Kruger's the easiest guy in the world to get along with and to have a relationship with.
And I saw your latest, I don't know if it was your latest, I think it was your latest video where I guess you and Michael are driving up. Is that really Sam Pittman's house?
Yeah, that's Coach Pittman's house.
Okay. Was that your boat, or did you borrow the boat, or where'd the boat come from?
No, I went and took shots all around my neighborhood. And then I asked Coach Pittman if I could come over there. And we ended up talking for about an hour and a half. And then we shot that 5-second video at his house. But I really just used the video as an excuse to go over there and just kind of talk about virtual recruiting and so forth.
But whose boat was that? I was just curious.
That was my neighbor that lives 5 houses away from me.
Okay. You didn't seem like a boat guy to me. I don't know. Maybe you are.
I'm a water guy, Bob.
Yeah. You water skiing or something. You look like a fishing boat or something to me. No, okay. I think I'm good. Oh, hey, am I still on?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize Tulsa had a CBA team. So was that when you were at Rapid City, or where were you? And What was that? Where'd you guys play in Tulsa? At the old Civic Center, I'm guessing, or?
I think Steve Bontringer was the coach. I can't. When you spend 7 years in the minor leagues, I can't remember the cities or where we played. Might have been a fairground. I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, but the next season won't be your first.
I think there was. Maybe there wasn't even a CBA team there. I don't know.
Well, there probably was. I know Oklahoma City had one.
Yeah, Henry Bibby coached them.
Yeah. So, okay, well, that's cool.
All right. Any more questions for Coach Musselman before we go?
Yeah, I've got one. Coach, you've been complimentary of Coach Ruda, the way that he's made your schedules. Like, what makes him such a good schedule maker in your opinion?
Scotty work ethic, and then egoless. He loves to call other people. He shares ideas. I know that, like in the Mountain West, he was in direct contact constantly with the Mountain West office about how to schedule and wanted their feedback. And there's other people in the business that we have great respect for what they've done scheduling wise. And Ruda has reached out to those people and picked their brains. I know in the Mountain West, I can, and I haven't been here long enough at all, but I'm still a rookie in this league. But in the Mountain West, I mean, Ruda's template was what the league used. But he spends endless time on trying to put it together, and again, he tries to put the schedule together. It takes a lot of work. Like, you want to play somebody that's going to finish very high in their own league. And so you've got to put together depth charts. I mean, there's not many people that'll sit down and go through an entire conference and put together a depth chart to decide who you want to call. And so, I've never been around anybody that looks at the numbers and knows who's returning, knows who's sitting out on other rosters like he does.
Appreciate that insight.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
You got one more?
Yeah,
Bobby, you're next.
Coach, I know obviously recruiting is a big thing with you. Saw this making the waves on social media 24/7 that KK rose 40 spots on their board and then Moses rode 9 spots. Does that help you guys at all, or does that mean anything to you?
It depends how much you guys write about it and talk about it. I mean, yeah, I think, anytime, things like that happen, rankings wise, national stuff. Yeah, I certainly think it helps us for sure. What's up,
Bobby?
Bob?
This is not really a question. It's more of an answer to your question. They played at the Expo Square Pavilion in Tulsa, the Tulsa Fast Breakers.
Bobby, thank you very much.
Got it.
And I think Steve Bontringer was the coach.
Yeah, you got it.
There you go. What else do you need?
Thanks, Frank. Eric, I assume you guys, with as good as you're supposed to be, are going to be in the SEC Big 12 Challenge again. Is that, for sure you're going to be part of that? And I guess you won't be playing OU, but can you share anything about that?
I have no idea, Bob. I really don't. I wish I could answer it, but I can't.
So you're not sure you guys are going to be in it?
I have I don't. I have no idea either way.
Okay. Well, they'd be crazy not to have Arkansas in it, wouldn't they?
I don't know. That's all I can say.
Okay. And then, the SEC, you probably noticed they changed the supervisor of basketball officials.
Mm-hmm.
The SEC had a preponderance of fouls, much more than other leagues. What do you think about the change in supervisor officials, and what kind of impact can that have?
No, I think that, the commissioner and Dan Leibowitz, those guys, incredibly bright people. And we were on a text thread with head coaches, and a lot of the veteran head coaches We're really excited as was the SEC league office. So, I think that it's an awesome hire. And like I said, I think that a lot of the people that have been involved in college basketball for a lot longer than I have, thinks that it's going to be awesome for the league. So I'll kind of refer to them on that, and we'll see. But I'm excited.
Do you know Tom Eads? He's been an official forever. You must know.
He has. I do think he's reffed several of our games, if not for sure one.
Did you feel like the SEC was a little foul heavy last year?
I'd rather not comment.
Okay, like in other words, too many fouls were called.
As long as the whistle's equal both ways. We led the nation in free throws attempted, so we were taking advantage of something. I don't know what, but.
Okay.
All right, Coach Musselman, thank you for your time. I think we've covered just about everything Bob's got.
All right, thanks, you guys. Good to see everybody.